Hi, welcome to Moms in the Huddle. Well, in the huddle, no parent stands alone. I am your host, Erica Morgan, a mother of Samaj Morgan, Division One, University of Michigan. And so we are here to let you know you are never in a huddle alone. Isn't that right, Jillian?
That is correct. And as Erica said, I am Jillian, your host as well. I am a sports mom, Jillian Blackwell, the mom of three boys, Mac. I call him JC, but you might know him as John Blackwell, and Rob. I call him Little Rob. My son, as well, is a D1 basketball player. He plays for the University of Wisconsin. That's actually why we got started with our boys, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Why are you doing today, Erica?
I am doing great. I am actually excited about today. We're talking about faith and family, and I'm excited, and then the heart of an athlete. So I am excited to just be a part of today's show. We had the weekend, we had Father's Day, we had Father's Day events happening this weekend. So today is just one of those days where it's Monday and we're just trying to get in the groove, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And you guys had an event this weekend,
We
didn't you?
did. We had a Father's Day event for fathers that actually lost their children to gun violence and other illnesses, in which we honored them at Top Golf. We gave them gifts. At that time, Samaj took actually some of his NIL money, had donors and sponsors. He brought them Air Force Ones. He bought them,
Wow.
what else? People donated all kinds of gifts, like some people donated cigars.
Oh,
They donated candles. Or a cologne. We played a video game, not video games. We played the game of golf with them. We had food, we had fellowship, and then we honored their children by each child had their name on their hats and was given to the dad in remembrance of the father. So we had a great event this weekend.
that's awesome. That's amazing. Look, my internet is lagging because one of my boys is, I don't know. Anyway, them boys. Anyway, that's good to hear that you guys
Haha.
celebrated dads. We had a great Father's Day as well. I was joking with you earlier today. So everyone probably knows my husband is the cook in the family. And he
Mhm.
asked me this laundry list of things that he wanted me to cook: fried chicken, sweet
Ooh.
potato, corn on the cob,
Haha.
broccoli. I was like, who he talking to? My name not anyway. So I called I called his mama, and his
Right.
mama said, "Girl, why don't you just go ahead and go buy it?" And I had a wonderful Mother's Day. I wasn't stuck in the
Did
kitchen.
you? Did
I
you cook
went and
the
bought
chicken
the
and
chicken from
stuff?
somewhere else. My girlfriend cooked the sweet potatoes. It was a
Uh-huh.
wonderful Father's Day weekend.
Aw, that is so awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Cook some fried chicken. You can cook that fried chicken, Jillian.
I did not. I didn't mind cooking the chicken. I just don't like being in the kitchen. I
Really?
think
Wow.
I'm almost retired from the kitchen. But Glenn is a great cook, so
Mhm.
we're okay. We are okay.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited too about this episode
Uh-huh.
because we get to sit down with somebody that I've been knowing for a very long time.
Uh-huh.
This happened to be my hubby, and so do we just want to go right into it?
Yeah, we got his bio. We're gonna introduce him.
Listen, I think I know him, so I can probably introduce him. So we're going to sit down with Mr. Robert Glenn Blackwell.
Mhm.
Currently, he is the assistant athletic director at Southfield High School. He also is the area, I think I want to say this title right. He works with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA.
Mhm.
He has decades of experience of coaching. Sometimes people don't even call him Glenn or Robert. They call him coach. Has decades
Yeah.
of coaching. He has played basketball since he was a little kid, went on to play at Highland Park High School, went to
Mhm.
University of Illinois. If you blink your eye, you may have missed it, but he did play in the NBA for a little second.
Mhm.
And then he traveled overseas. And around that time, that's when I met him. And
Mhm.
he's just a wonderful man of God. So I want to invite
Oh.
him. We did a dad on the sidelines, and he could not
Mhm.
make it that time. But I think it's great that he's come the day after Father's Day that we celebrated Father. So we're going to talk about a lot today. We're going to
Yes.
dive in what it truly means to coach the whole athlete, spirit, soul,
Mm.
and how parents can partner with their coaches and faith-based programs to guide their children through the pressure of performance, the pressure of identity, and the pressure of what really is your purpose. Your basketball does not define you. And so
Yeah,
oftentimes people are defined by the sport or the thing or even the title that they have. Think about when people are in corporate America, when they retire, they no longer have that title. And
right.
so I'm super excited to invite to the huddle Mr. Robert Glynn, but my girlfriend Adrian say, but Blackwell. Come on to the stage,
Hey,
Mr. Blackwell.
hi, welcome, Coach Blackwell. And I've had the honor to know him, and it's an honor to know him. He actually coached my son over when he was at Christian schooling, and it's just an honor to have him be a part. Welcome, Coach Blackwell. How's it going? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, you're frozen.
You know
Coach?
that thing
Oh,
from
there you go.
Morgan, I remember. Go ahead, Coach. Can you hear us?
I can. Was that my internet lagging or
You're good now. You're
all right?
on and popping, Coach.
You good now,
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you all for inviting me into Moms in the Huddle. I'm in the huddle.
Yes. Welcome to
And,
Hey, you guys say it again. We need your voice. You in the huddle.
I'm in the huddle.
You're in the
Yeah, there
huddle.
you go. Thank
Well,
you.
we're
Yeah.
excited that you had a chance to join us. I know you are busy. He's actually at the school. They're having an event today, but he carved out some time to kind of hang out with us. And so, again, I did my best to introduce you, but I want to actually start from the beginning. Your family is actually full of athletes, so you were indoctrinated into a sports family. But I really want to talk a little bit about if you could just share with us a little bit about your background and who you are and what you do.
First of all, excuse my background. You know, I'm looking at you guys' background with the gym shoes and you got all that, nice looking, pretty stuff. I saw my boy Samaj walk behind you too. Tell him I said what's up.
I think he went outside to go outside
Yeah.
somewhere. I have no
Well,
idea.
I'm actually in the weight room. I was in my office, but we have a meet and greet. We just hired a new basketball coach, and so that right there was a Holy Ghost moment. How
Oh,
we,
wow.
yeah, it's man. Anyway, uh, I can talk, but anyway, I'll do my best. So, what was the question? You want to know a little bit about me, my background, where I come from, and all
Yeah, I
that
mean,
stuff?
again, I wanna just for you to take us back. When did your love for sports begin? Like, what kind of athlete were you in high school?
In high school, well, first of all, the love of the sport came from my uncle Reggie. So my
Hmm.
uncle Reggie McKenzie, the former Wolverine. He's an All-American for the Wolverines back in the day. He graduated in 1972. He was drafted by the
Wow.
Buffalo Bills. He used to block for O.J. Simpson, and so
Wow.
and so so that's where the love came because what he wanted to do is give back to the community of Highland Park, and so obviously me being a nephew, he would gather us up on the block, Trumbull, and throw the football to us. And then
Wow.
one year or one summer, he had an aha moment. He went to Bo Schembachler and he said, "Look," he went to Bo and he said, "Bo, I need to borrow some cones and footballs because I want to do a football clinic and I want to give back to the community of Highland Park." Pretty much what Samaj, your husband, is doing with when he was
Mhm.
coaching the Is it the Lions, the West
The
Bloomfield?
Lions, the West Bloomfield Lions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all about giving back.
Yeah.
So what Reggie did was he said, "Let me give back to the city that I came from," and I was a product of that. So
Mm.
all my life, all my younger life, or as a young boy, I played football. Never even touched a basketball until one day in the fifth grade. This one guy by the name of Tracy Sampson, Alvin Ross. What's the Ross kid that played at West Bloomfield?
Um,
Oh man,
I don't
what's
know. What year was he? Was he like with Samaj and Jonathan?
yes, a year behind them. His daddy. What's the light skinned? Ah man, what is his
I
name?
think I know you're talking about, but I
And
can't bring it.
anyway, his daddy They introduced me to basketball,
Hmm.
and
Wow.
the rest was history. I became good in basketball overnight, and
Hmm.
I
Did
left
you said you became good overnight?
with basketball.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right,
really.
Mr.
I
Humble.
mean, like it was. by the sixth grade, I couldn't even, I couldn't, the only thing that I can do in terms of basketball was just rebound. But by the sixth grade and seventh grade, I can dribble, shoot, and then I was talking to town when it came to basketball in the city of Highland Park, and it blossomed. And
Wow.
in Highland Park, we have a rich, we had a rich tradition of basketball. Um, Great Terry Durod, you mentioned that name. He was a former
Wow.
Highland Parker, University of Detroit Titans, played for Dick Vitale, one
Go
of the
tight.
greatest shooters, one of the greatest shooters in the city. Ended up winning a championship from the Boston Celtics. So he was
Wow.
like a mentor to me. I went to him and I said, "Hey man, what do I need to do to get better at a shoot? He shoot 500 shots a day." So I tried
Mm.
my best to do that. And long story short, I became good by my senior year, all state, all American, all dream team, all that type stuff, highly
Mhm.
recruited. And then I chose University
Okay.
of Illinois. Um, I narrowed my choices down to Illinois, Michigan, and West Virginia. Michigan because my uncle was an All American there. When I took a visit to Michigan,
Mhm.
they didn't even, my first visit wasn't really to the Chrysler. I went to Bo Schembechler's office, to the football coach.
Wow.
Mm.
So I walked into his office because I was the nephew of Reggie McKenzie. And I walked
Right.
into the office and Bo Schembechler did like this. Boom, bust me in my chest and said, "You're a Michigan man, and don't you forget it."
Oh,
Wow.
And so I never forget that. And
And you
wow.
chose
I
Illinois.
chose Illinois. And the only reason that I chose Illinois is because Michigan at the time, they had that's like if Samaj came to, uh, when he signed to go to Michigan,
Mhm.
he had about 10 wide receivers ahead of him. So,
Mm.
so for me, it was they had a bunch of guards, but Illinois only had like four guards. Two of them were graduating, so it looked more promising, and it was in the
Now
Big
that's
Ten.
smart, Glenn, because I want to ask you a question about that. So you decided to go to Illinois, which was a smart decision. Talk about that. Talk to the athletes and the families about when you said it was 10 guards at Michigan, but then four guards here. So you kind of surveyed the land as it relates to where you would want to go and you could be used in your talent. Talk about that because that's good. I like that you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, it was they had some good guards.
Hmm.
Michigan, uh, Leslie Rockmore, Eric, not Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas is a speaker. Uh, Man, I can't think of his name. That's bad. Anyway,
Hmm.
um, Antoine Jobert, Guard Thompson, Quincy Turner, Eric Turner from Flint.
Wow.
Um, so they had a slew of guards, and so again, like you said, I had to survey the schools that I wanted to go to. I didn't
Hmm.
take a lot of visits because I just didn't want to waste the time of
Yeah.
going to schools that I knew that I wasn't going to even go to. West Virginia, two of my teammates played there, and then one of my best friend, Coach Chico, he was there. So I knew if I went there, it was nothing going to be done. And so I ended up going
That,
to Illinois, and it worked
yeah, that
out.
wouldn't
And
have been a good move. That wouldn't have been a good
yeah,
move. That's wisdom right there too.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that was it. But for me, unfortunately, one of the things that I stress to student athletes all the time is developing a great study habit because
Yes. Yes.
now there's no way there's no way these athletes can fail academically if you don't because it's too much they surround these athletes with
The
uh,
help.
to help them. And I told Jonathan, I said, Jonathan, if you fail, then shame on you because you got tutors, you have
Mm.
study halls. And watch this at University of Wisconsin, their practice facility, they have the tutoring wing or tutoring office is right down near they practice facility. All they got to do
Wow.
is walk from practice to a big old wing where they studying. So, but for me, unfortunately, my mother told me you need to develop better study habits. I told my mom she didn't know what she was talking about in my own way.
You wait a minute. You told your
I didn't
mama
say it
that,
to her.
coach?
I didn't tell her that, but I said it with my action. I said it in my
Okay.
and so my first year at University of Illinois, I was declared academically ineligible. So I lost my
Wow.
freshman year.
Mm.
So in essence, I only had 3 years to try to prove myself on the
Dang.
court,
Mhm.
and I needed that fourth year because it would have helped develop me and it prepared me for my tryout. So I did have a short stint, like Jill said. I did try out for the Seattle Supersonics as a
Oh,
free agent, and I only made it through vets camp, and then after that, I went back to school, got my degree, and then I played almost 8 years overseas. So I've been to over 24 different
wow.
countries.
8
Um,
years?
yeah, 8 years, about 8 years. My first year, I played in Turkey. Second year was Greece. Then after that, I went and played in the
Mhm.
CBA. Then I went to played in Mexico, the Philippines, 2 years in Cyprus, a year in Estonia, and that's when Jill and I got married that year. Can you
Wow.
believe that my wife, my wife Jill, that's right. We was going to get married, and I said,
He said,
"Well,
right.
I said, babe, we're going, when we get married, we're going overseas." She was like, I ain't going overseas with you.
Jillian,
We
did
had
you
an
say
argument.
that?
We had an
I had a
argument,
good
right?
job. I was living in Georgia, had a great job,
Oh.
really
Yeah,
vested in the company, had 401k. I thought I was
Ooh.
balling.
right.
And
Well,
Yeah,
and
but
you just told her, coach, you're going overseas with me. You getting married, and that's it. Well, did she
yeah,
make it over there with you, coach?
yeah, she made it, but I had to take it to prayer.
yeah,
I had to put it
Oh,
to prayer. Everybody
okay.
say, but God.
But
but
God.
God.
So put it to prayer. God softened her heart. She quit her job. She was being
Oh,
obedient to the she was being obedient, not to me, being obedient to what the word of God. She came with her husband. Watch this. Everybody say, but God.
but
But
God.
She gave up that job. And she wanted to go to layman school too. This would have been year 2 for her to go to layman school.
Layman's Bible
Hmm.
Okay.
School.
Layman Bible School down in Atlanta. So
Hmm.
she gave up the job and gave up the second year because she wanted to do both. So we get over to Estonia, right? And then
Hmm.
after about 2 or 3 months that we were there, she ended up getting a job, right? Through one of the companies that sponsored my team. And she ended up working for Saatchi and Saatchi, one of the largest marketing firms in the
in
world.
in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, in our hotel that we stayed
Wow.
in the hotel that we stayed in, right? One day we saw this lady who that looked like an American with a Bible in her hand. Me, Jill and I was getting ready to go work out. And we
Mhm.
said, boy, that lady looks, she said, they look like this, a Bible in her hand. She said, she looked back in English. Now, mind you, we're in Russia. She said, it
Uh-huh.
sure is. And in the hotel that we had been living in for almost 3 months, there was a Bible school in the basement of this hotel.
Talk about getting set up. Talk
Yes.
about getting we in the huddle, y'all, with the
We in
Blackwells,
the
really.
huddle.
But let me talk about getting set up. You're there for
Yeah.
your basketball career. She's there and got set up. Thought she was leaving something, her job and school, and get over
Yeah.
there. God made accommodations for her over there. Talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
getting us set up, Jillian.
Love that. I always
Isn't that
love
what Jesus says when he says, when you lose your life, you really gain it?
Mm,
it.
He says,
you know what?
what profits a man is he gain the whole world, but he loses his soul. And
Mm.
so,
Teach us,
but
Black
watch
Coach.
this. But
Teach us, Coach Blackwell.
this really set Jill up when she interviewed. So we did 1 year. I had tore my Achilles tendon in
Mhm.
Estonia that year. So obviously I couldn't play the next year.
Right.
So she went back to get a job. And when they saw Saatchi and Saatchi on her resume, that boosted her salary almost $40,000.
Ooh, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
y'all
was
were over in Russia at that time?
Estonia, yeah,
Wow.
Italian Estonia off the Baltic Sea.
off the
Right
Baltic
off the
Sea.
Baltic Sea. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So
How long did you guys stay over there?
just a year. It was
One
just a
year?
year.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it
So
was amazing story. It was amazing story. So I want to get back enough about me, but that's great,
No, that was
but I
actually awesome because
go
it
ahead.
just showed like in the huddle when life happens
When
and
life
you follow your husband over to another country and
yeah.
got blessed doubled in what you've done over here. That is amazing.
That is
That's huddle
amazing.
talk right there.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm
That's tough
sorry.
to
Go ahead,
watch.
Julia.
No, no, I want to go into this segment. So you spent years playing basketball. We got married. But before we got married, I want to talk about your transition from just being solely focused on the sport basketball, but then having your life radically changed. Can you talk about what happened then?
Mm.
So I
And
always say
I'm
this.
gonna pause for a second because I'm flashing right now, so this shirt got to come off. So I'll be back in a second.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all,
Do
we
I
in the
talk?
huddle with it. If
Do
you
I
Yes.
don't
talk?
know, go like, comment, and subscribe for Moms in the Huddle. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We are on X. Make sure you take the time right now to go like, comment, and subscribe. But, Coach, that was a good transition right there. Talk about some of your beginning moments. She brought up some good things there and the transition and what was that pinnacle moment there for you?
So it all began when in 1995 I was going through a moment where I call this a smile on my face, but a tear in my heart. I was empty on
Mm.
the inside, right? You know how you just fake it, you fake it till you make it. That's what I was doing in this period of time of my life, trying to date, trying to figure it all out. Didn't know, didn't have the answers to anything other than basketball. Because when basketball stopped, now I was pretty much now my whole being, my whole personality, all of who I am was by hitting in the basketball behind it. But now
Yeah.
basketball is moved out of the way. Now you see the real Glenn. Now I got to learn how to talk to people. I got to learn how to, it's not like I'm not this athlete anymore. I'm not playing anymore.
Right.
Then I ended up getting the opportunity to play again. And so I jumped on the opportunity to go to the Philippines to play. But really, what this was doing was God was setting me up. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, I had a smile on my face, tear in my heart. Went over to the Philippines one way, right? Still indulging in, sex and drinking and crazy, just,
Mm.
just out my mind, right?
Mm.
In the meantime, I was trying to date this young lady here, where there's no integrity, no trust, no, just we
Mm.
liked each other. I mean, we saw the potential in each other, but really just didn't know how to date. So I get over to the Philippines and really just again that smile on face, tear in my heart. And so my father had been praying for me for a long time, for almost
Mhm.
7 to 8 years, that I would give my life to Christ. But
Mm.
I didn't want to have anything to do with Jesus Christ because of my relationship with my biological father. Because when I
Wow.
was 2 years old, he left my family, divorced my mom at 10. So he was talking about
Mm.
Jesus. I didn't want to have anything to do with Jesus. So I get over to the Philippines and I was introduced team, and just say that me and the coach are standing right here, and then the team was standing, about a couple of feet from me. And so he says to the team, he says, "Okay, who wants to be Glenn's chauffeur?" Because in
Mhm.
the Philippines, the traffic is so congested that you would need a chauffeur to get around. Whereas
Right.
other countries, they'll give you your own vehicle, your own place to stay, which I did have my own place. I stayed in a hotel, but I didn't have
Mhm.
my own vehicle. I needed a chauffeur. So none
Mhm.
of these guys moved, said anything. And so me and my little worldly way, I said, well, F y'all. Y'all don't want to get with me. I'm
Ooh.
right. I'm just being real. Okay.
No,
In
I
the
want
huddle.
this is let me Glenn, because here's the thing. I've never heard this story, but this is some raw good stuff. Because I got a question after you finish this story. I'm following you. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So anyway, nobody moves. So all of a sudden, this guy by the name of Arnold Padal
Mm.
steps out of the huddle. He says, I will. I'll be Glenn's chauffeur. And I
Mm.
looked up and I said, my man, that's how my man, you my man. But unbeknownst to me, Arnold was a Christian, a
Mm.
born again, sold out Christian. He would come get
Mm.
me every single day. He studied me. He watched that I
Mhm.
liked rap. He would come in the next day with gospel rap. He saw that, I was using profanity and certain things. He would put tracks in the console and walk out. And then I would be sitting in the car looking around. I picked up this track, started reading it. This
Uh-huh.
lady I mean, just he was setting me up until one day I was headed to this party. I had my little drink. I was
Uh-huh.
getting ready to go to this party. The music is blasting.
Yeah.
And then The taxi cab. So Arnold didn't take me to the parties.
Right.
I didn't tell him I was going to the party. So
Right.
so I'm in the taxi, and the music blasting, and we get to a stoplight,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting in the back seat. I'm holding on to my drink like it was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Big on this big, one of the tallest buildings in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Is Jesus is Lord.
Mm.
Jesus is Lord.
Just flashing.
Just flashing. I looked up at it, and I looked at the taxi cab driver, and I shook his shoulder, and I said, "Listen," I said, "take me back to my room now." He said,
Wow.
"I thought you wanted to party. I thought you wanted to party." I said, "Oh, man, take me back to the room. Come on, let's go party." I almost broke his shoulder, telling me to get me back to my room.
Wow.
So I get back to the room, and tears in my eyes.
Mm.
I'm like, and I'm smile on my face, tear in my heart. I said, if you're real,
Mm-hmm.
like my daddy said, then come into my heart. I'm so tired. I'm tired of this life. I'm tired of just everything that's going on. Bowed
Yeah.
on my knees. And when
Yeah.
I bowed down and had my hand, it felt like something heavy lifted off of me.
Oh my Lord.
And um,
Jesus.
so I go into, I'm in the kitchenette of the hotel, and I
Yeah.
go into my room, and then I come back as if I couldn't pray in there. I came back, and I said, "There's one thing you got to help me with." And I said, "Those women, I can't, you got to help me with that."
Well, what you say, Coach?
Blackwell.
What women?
Oh. Well, you know what? You being real, Coach.
Yes.
Because think about it. You a man. You
I'm a man.
you an athlete.
Yes.
So anyhow, I was delivered. That was May the 20th, 1995. On my way back,
He remembered that day too.
on my way
That's
back on the
awesome.
airplane, I heard the Lord say this. He says, "Now I want you to be the ultimate athlete for Christ."
Mm.
Ultimate athlete for Christ. I said, "Well, what is that?" So he said, "I'm going to show you." I had no idea what it meant. And then that's when I got reunited with my good friend Joel Gregory. Pastor Joel Gregory played basketball with me when we were teenagers, and he's a youth pastor, and he started putting scripture on me. 1 Corinthians 6:20. You were
Yeah.
bought with a price, therefore glorify God in your body and your spirit, which belongs to God.
G5G.
1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 8. For bodily exercise, it profits you a little.
Mm-hmm.
Godliness profits you now in the time to come. And so God started working with me on that. Then Jill and I, we went to Bible school, of course, and then
Which is where I met both you guys at Bible school.
that's right. And
Yeah.
I thought that God was calling us to be a children's church pastor, because I was going to actually interview for the children's church position down in San Antonio, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Gregory asked me. He said, "Hey man, Bishop is looking for a children's church pastor. You want to throw your name in the hat?" Because we had to put that on our org chart. Remember that?
Right. Yes.
So we put down children's church pastor, and so I said I hesitated. He said, "Yeah, I thought so. Come see me next week." So next week I go see him. He gives me a book called "Discover Your Purpose in 10 Days" by Egan's, the Egan's.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Discover Your Purpose in 10 Days. I went through that thing. On the 10th day, I had to do an exercise, and the exercise says, name 5 things that you can't do a day without. So I researched it. I mean, that's where I went to I researched the link they gave me to research to get those questions. So it's 5 things. 1, got to read the word every day.
Yes.
2, my family, always, my wife and family.
Yes.
Number 3, don't judge me, y'all.
Go ahead. Who gonna judge you? I'm not.
I'm being silly.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I can't do a day without reading sports.
I know that. You ain't telling me.
I can't do a day without counseling people, encouraging people. So then that's where sports ministry came into the play. That's how this
Amen.
is all
Wow.
birthed. It's because name the five things that you're passionate about, and that's where sports ministry came into play. And that's how I got connected with FCA and all of the different sports ministries that I was involved with. Jill and I served on a steering committee for the coaches timeout program,
Mhm.
where we would invite coaches and their spouses for the weekend with ministry.
Yeah.
The Jeff Todden, who is the chaplain for the Detroit Tigers,
Yeah.
invited us in with along with his friends, and so that's where all this sports ministry will birth, and that's why I've been doing FCA for the past 4 years. I'm an area rep for it. Hey, listen, I love Jesus.
Now, you say FCA, Glenn. What does FCA stands for, and what part of what do you have to do with that? How do you operate with FCA? What is your part?
FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
I love it.
Yeah, sports ministry that's been around since 1954, and it
Okay.
really is the aim, the vision for FCA is to see the world transformed through Jesus
Mm.
Christ, through the influence of coaches and athletes, and our
Yeah.
mission is to see them grow daily, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Daily in their walk with God. We just had a team camp this past weekend where we had over 28 teams
Wow.
participate in our basketball. We had uh, eight girl teams and 21, 22 boys teams from all over. You know,
Wow.
from Brother Rice, from Southfield Public School, from MLA City, from
Everywhere.
Detroit Central. We had it. I mean, and we ministered to those individuals. Don't know what our numbers were as far as who accepted Christ into their life, but each team had a huddle. They would
Mm.
Each team had a huddle where we had a character coach that would minister the gospel to them.
That's
So I
amazing.
just love it because Jesus was the master coach.
Yes, he was.
He's the master coach. He is one thing about Jesus. He empowered. He empowered anybody that he came across. He
Yes, he
empowered
did.
them to be greater. He empowered them to be greater than who they are. Case in point, you think about Peter and his brother. He said they were fishermen.
Hmm.
Mm.
He met them. He said, "You're not only going to be fishermen, but you're going to be fisher of me." They
Wow.
didn't quite understand that. They didn't understand that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they didn't they didn't understand that. But what he did is he showed them. So that's what coaches they're supposed to do. Coaches,
Yes.
when you think about the word coach, where does it come from? It comes from a carriage coach. And you think about a
Mm.
carriage coach, right?
Yeah.
This carriage coach is protected. So now you're taking these individuals on a journey. And so you're taking them from
Mhm.
one part to the next. And there's no favoritism on this journey. Jesus
Yes.
have no favorites. You notice that those disciples always wanted to know who's the greatest, who's the favorite.
Right.
And
Right.
Mhm.
he said, "That's not up to me." He
Yeah.
said,
Mm-mm.
"That's not up to me to tell." He says, "Yeah, look, if you want to know how you want to understand true greatness, then serve.
Sir.
Yeah.
Love your neighbor as you
That's
love yourself."
right, coach. That's right.
Mhm.
Love it. And coach, you talk about faith, family, and coaching. How are you able to impart the word of God and Jesus into the athletes that you come in contact with? What strategy do you use for someone that's been probably like you were? You wanted no parts of God, right?
Yeah.
But when you run across somebody that's like you, how are you able to impart God into that young man or young woman's heart that go beyond the game that they're playing?
We do it just like Jesus did. We call it the E3 process.
The E3 process?
Yeah,
Okay.
engage, equip, and empower. First, you
Mm,
engage, you engage that individual. You find out a little more about him. Think about Jesus when the lady was at the lady at the well.
yeah.
He engaged with her. He asked her questions. He told her things about herself. He listened, and
Yeah.
then he told her, uh, he just told her all about herself. He empowered her. Then what did she do? She left and went and got
Mhm.
others and came back.
Mm,
So what he did was he engaged, and then he equipped, and then he empowered. Think
Wow.
about Peter. He engaged. He got on their level.
Yes.
To their level. So that's our strategy. That's the E3 strategy. So in this process of engaging, right, that means that now we get a chance to talk with that individual, and they may not be ready to hear the gospel right
Yeah.
away. So
Right.
now what we do is we go back and we pray, right?
Hmm.
Engage them. We engage them by prayer, all right?
Okay.
You know,
Um,
and
that's
then
good.
yeah. So that's a strategy. Those are strategies that we use, and
I love that.
I
I love
love that too. Man.
Glenn, you also talk about, I love this quote, and I won't quote it because I always mess it up, but you talk about a quote, I think, I can't remember, it was a pastor who said it. He said something about coaches have the influence.
right.
What is the quote?
Billy Graham.
What did he say?
He said coaches have more influence than influence and impact in an athlete's life in 1 year than the average person would in a lifetime.
Mm.
Wow. And have you seen that? And I asked that because I remember when our kids, if you're just joining, this is my husband, we're interviewing Glynn Blackwell. So when I say our kids, it's actually my baby daddy's. Anyway, I always have to say that.
That's just your
Anyway,
baby daddy. I know that's right.
my baby dad. Um, but I remember a time when our kids would come home and they would say, "Coach said." And I'll be like, "Wait a minute, what do you?" And they were adamant about it. Like, no, that's no. Coach said this.
They do.
Even as a child, a small child, and sometimes even as an adult, they say, "Well, what my coach said." And
Mhm.
so, so that quote is absolutely correct, good and bad, because you have
Mm.
great coaches that influence you, and you have some coaches that impact you in different ways. So, can you talk to what you've seen and the power of a coach and the impact that a coach can have in a person's life?
Uh, this is really, I don't think coaches truly understand their platform, right?
Yeah.
Platform that they have. I think the ecosystem of coaching has not really prepared our coaches. Our society has not really prepared. If you think about the math teacher, the science teacher, you think about those teachers that are in those classrooms, they're
Mm.
Are you stuck? They're what?
Uh-oh.
certified, but
There you go.
You were stuck. You said they're what?
I said the teachers, they're
Mhm.
certified,
Mhm.
right? They
Right.
go through a series of training, right, in order to be able um, to instruct on that particular subject. Well, that's how we feel about coaches, that we have to empower these coaches um, to be the best version of themselves
Yeah.
because they have that platform that they have is a powerful platform
Yeah.
because just as Jillian said, coach says in our society, think about how the impact that these coaches have. The impact can be either good or bad, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a you have coaches cussing, some coaches they cussing, I believe that you can get it done. Now I used to cuss. Now I'm not saying I never.
Right.
I'm saying I used to cuss the kids out, but
Mhm.
Mm.
some of these kids come from that environment already. Some of these
Wow.
kids have trauma in their lives,
Yeah.
so we want to be. We want to, you again. We want to just. Uh, eh, we don't want. We're not looking to win championship. The championships that we want to win is 10 years from now, or 10 years after you've coached that kid. Are they inviting you to their weddings? Are they inviting
Yeah.
you to
Yeah.
significant
About building relationships
yeah,
sounds like.
Yeah.
about building
Yeah.
relationships? So we try to encourage the coaches. We have a curriculum called three-dimensional coaching. So
Okay.
3D coaching is really coaching in 3 dimensions, right?
Mhm.
The first dimension is the X's and O's, all right?
Mhm.
So if you don't have that as a football coach or basketball, lacrosse, baseball, whatever, you don't have the tactics, the training to be able to coach those sports, you ain't coaching,
That's true.
Right.
right? But we don't focus on those. All right? We focus on dimensions 2 and 3. right? And every so just like dimension one, you have strategies on how you're gonna train, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boys go out, they're gonna do sprints, right? These are strategies to get the cardio right. You have
Right.
strategies in the weight room to get them strong. So now what about your strategies for the second and third dimension,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the psychology. The second
Mm-hmm.
dimension is psychology, the mind. How do you motivate athletes,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How do you build team cohesion, right? How do you deal with the emotions? How do you build confidence, right? And so we take there are some coaches that are ready, but then there are some coaches that are not ready for the journey that we have with Jesus. We do have two curriculums. We do have a
Mm-hmm.
secular curriculum, and we do have
Mm-hmm.
a spiritual curriculum, right? Because
Okay.
some coaches are not ready, so we meet the coaches where they are and
That's
build the
smart.
relation. You know
I
what I
like
mean?
that. Yeah.
Because sometimes you can boom, 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 and they may not be ready for all of that. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can go to like I can give you a spiritual piece on like how he motivated Zacchaeus.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Zacchaeus, the little old man
Yes.
in the sycamore tree?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So watch how Jesus motivated change. Jesus knew that this guy was a tax collector, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he knew everybody was talking bad about this guy. So Jesus called him by name, said, Zacchaeus, come on down from the sycamore tree. And so Zacchaeus looked at him. The Bible says this. Zacchaeus looked at him. He said, "Who, me? I'm the tax collector. I'm because he was robbing folks of their money." He said, "Come on down."
Right.
He said, "I want to spend 2 days at your house."
Mm.
Huh?
Mm.
So remember, engage, equip,
Mm-hmm.
power, right? I
Right.
want to
Yes.
spend 2 days at your house. So he came down. He spent 2 days at Zacchaeus' house, and then Zacchaeus, the Bible didn't say anything that Jesus said to him. Man, you're wrong. You're dirty. He just spent
Right.
time.
Wow.
And watch what Zacchaeus did. He said, Jesus, if I wronged and robbed anybody of their money, I'm gonna give back every dime that I robbed from the
Mm.
poor and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, how do we? How does what motivates change? You step into their life.
Mm.
Ooh.
Into
That's
they world. I like that. Into their world.
Really
You're right.
good.
And
step
sometimes
into their
how
life.
you're a great
Yeah,
storyteller with that.
yeah.
I'd never looked at that story until you just said it about Jesus inviting, I mean, Zacchaeus taking Jesus back to his home to
Wow.
engage with him. That's
And
beautiful.
watch and look at the scripture says everybody ridiculed Jesus. Say, why are you hanging out with these sinners?
Mm.
Ooh.
But
Don't
Jesus
we
said,
do that? We do
but
that all the time.
All the
right, why
time,
are you hanging out
Jillian.
with these
All
sinners?
the time.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
That's good
anyway,
right there.
that's level two. That's level two. 3D
Yeah.
coaching we're still talking about.
Hmm.
The third dimension is really 4% of coaches really ever make it to this level because everything is predicated on winning, right?
Right.
Mm.
Unfortunately, everything is predicated on winning championships, win, because coaches are getting fired. Why? Because they didn't win.
That's
Right.
right.
So the third dimension is significance, values, and the spiritual.
Hmm.
So think about Jesus, what he did. He made everybody feel significant.
Hmm.
Players 1 through 12 or
Yeah.
disciples 1 through 12. So now we talk to the coaches. What strategies? So we provide strategies. What strategies do you have to
Hmm.
make players 1 through 12 feel significant?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
players, let's use basketball. You got 5 players. Those 5 players, they start,
Right.
they're gonna get the shine. But
Hmm.
what about players 10, 11, and 12? How do
Right.
you
Mm.
make them feel significant? And so
Mm.
one strategy is we have called the spotlight drill, right?
Mm.
The spotlight drill is you would, have your team after practice, and let's say player number 12 who don't get a chance to play a lot.
Hmm.
Well, you'll bring that player up to the front, and you'll say to the team, "All right, let's just say his name is Joe.
Hmm.
Everybody, tell me why does Joe mean so much to this team?"
Mm.
Mm.
Joe means so much to his team because he claps for us. He gives us high fives when we come out of the game, he practices hard. He
Mhm.
does this, he does that. So now the players are saying how significant this player is to the
Wow.
team. And then he
Wow.
goes home and he says, Mom, man, my
Mm,
teammates told me how much I was important. Even I don't even play much. And they
mm.
Wow.
know how important I am.
But
So that
he's an intricate piece of the team, which is what makes it so important
right,
that in the huddle, when they're in the huddle, that you
Yes.
have a coach that knows how to spotlight kids, all
right,
of them, to where
right.
they know the contributions, which is the beautiful thing about what you're doing at FCA. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I do
that
have a question about coach when it comes down to have you ever had a moment where you coached a difficult coach that did not want to receive what you were
Mm.
trying to impart, whether it was from the spiritual or from the secular. You just wasn't received well. And in situations like that, what do you do?
um yeah, we had a coach. Um he yeah, he just wasn't ready.
Okay.
Okay, he wasn't ready. And so um then he became then he got ready.
Okay.
I don't know if I said that right, but he just wasn't ready.
Hmm.
And
It was time.
it was time.
This
The
season.
water, the seed had been watered, and now it was sprouting. And so this
Okay.
coach, this coach, and really, this coach, this coach had really did something to really, I'm gonna use the word piss me off, right?
Tell the
Sure.
truth. Yeah.
Yeah, he pissed me off,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to deal with this coach. I didn't want
Mm.
to be bothered with this coach, right?
Yeah.
But the Holy Spirit dealt with me. He said,
Mm.
"Who are you, right?
Oh.
Who are you to make pass judgment that way?" He said, "If I send you to go somewhere, you go and you do what I tell you to do, right? You know that
Show
wasn't
me
the
a
devil.
coach.
The devil would have said, no, cuss him out, go try,
Wow.
do
Tell
whatever."
them right. Tell them
So,
all.
so I did it. He did some stuff, and I didn't like it. So I did, and so I approached him, and he called me, and
Mm.
he said, man, we need to get together, and
Mm.
this is my brother. I can call this guy my brother to this day.
Mm.
Wow.
We've been in the office and we've cried together. And one morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, he called me, man, and told me he loved me. He said, I
Oh.
need you. He said, I love you, man.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I just tell you, that was a that was a that was um,
Wow.
man, life changing moment.
Yeah. I remember that.
Wow.
I remember that coach. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That was heavy.
That
That
was
was,
really heavy because it seemed
yeah.
like you took the time, somebody planted, you were watering. Of course, God gives the increase, but you
Yeah.
didn't leave from
Yeah.
watering. You
Yeah.
stayed there, even when you didn't like what you were seeing that was coming up, whether it was weeds from his life or
Mm.
whatever it was, and you didn't like it. He pissed you off, like you said, but you stayed there. And now, dude calling you saying, I love you, and a relationship change. So that was an effect on who you are and what you're implementing into the community. That's
Mm.
beautiful.
That is beautiful. And we
Beautiful.
gon' we shed a lot of tears in this family. I love the fact, again, we talk about sports and coaching and men, but oftentimes you don't see men shed tears, and I'm glad that
No, they
Glenn
don't.
is very open to cry. He's done that plenty of times with our boys, and that allows them to know that it's okay to cry. So I want to go. I want to actually talk about that. Not necessarily crying, but you didn't just coach coaches or kids. You raised um, three boys in a
Mm.
sports heavy household. From Mackenzie, who's now 22, he's not playing anymore. Jonathan is playing his third year, University of Wisconsin, and Robert is playing at Brother Rice. What was that like? I know what it was like, but share with the people what it was like behind the scenes. I mean, again, it's by default. You were raised into a sports family. I didn't know anything about sports until I married this man, and then we started having these boys. And there was I believe, our oldest son was turning 2. We had a full size basketball rim in the middle of our living room. I said, "Oh, this is how life is going to be." So, talk a little bit about raising boys and then introducing them to and talk to them about not just about sports, but also being the ultimate athlete for Christ.
Um, I have to say, when I look back, um, I'm just a typical dad.
Yeah.
Have boys. You always dream of your kid, taking on uh, the same journey as you. But I had to really learn that that from my oldest, that he may not be passionate. He may not be. You
Yeah.
trying to force him and make him be something that he's
Yeah.
not. Although Mackenzie enjoyed playing, he didn't love it. He didn't love it, and I had to, unfortunately, right. I learned a valuable lesson, and it caused some friction.
Yeah.
Even honestly, even to this day, there's still some friction there because how I tried to force him to be something that he's not. And so
Mm.
here's a danger. Here's a danger that we talk about in FCA is, you know, that your value is not based on performance.
Wow.
So so his value, he really thinks that his value is
Thinks
based,
or thought.
huh? He
Thinks
thinks
or thought.
he still it's there's
Mm,
still some stuff there
okay.
because here's why, because they told me, John, Mackenzie and Robert told me not too long ago that they say that Jonathan is my favorite son.
Mm.
Say it again.
They said that Jonathan is my favorite son, and they're
Ooh.
basing that based on how he's performing, right,
Mm.
athletically in a sport
That's deep right there, coach.
that I excelled in.
Mm.
So what that means is they have they have a performance based mentality. And
Mm.
so so they think that how they perform on the court is going to please me.
Wow.
Right.
And really it's not. And so this is how we are trying to break this cycle, right?
Yes.
Of amongst coaches and amongst athletes to
And
let them
among
know,
parents.
and parents to let them
Yeah.
know that basketball is what you do, but
And
it's not
football.
who you are.
Yeah.
Who
Yes.
you are is my son, but
Yeah.
Right.
basketball is something that you do. And
Hmm.
um, so raising this boy, so really in Mackenzie's junior year or senior year, I believe it was, I heard the Lord speak to me. He said, "You are using basketball as an idol. You are
Mm.
your son is an idol.
Mm.
He's an idol. You have a false image of him being in the NBA, and all
Wow.
this image you're looking to bring glory to yourself and your name because
Mm.
Mm.
his name is Blackwell. So
Hmm.
Right.
anybody that's associated with a Blackwell, then there has to be fame and fortune and all of that.
Wow.
It was a false idol. He
Mm.
broke me down. He broke it down. He made me look at it and he said, you're chasing stuff that's not, it's gonna be perishable. It's gonna perish.
Yes.
Wow.
And so now you're about to destroy your relationship with your son
Yeah.
because you're trying to make him be something that he's not.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So that I did that with Mackenzie. With Jonathan is a little different because he loves the game, but
Yeah.
even when I go to games and watch, I'm at peace. I'm,
Mm.
because if he fails, I used to be nervous,
Hmm.
be tenant like, oh, I hope you don't mess up. So
I think every parent's like that.
yeah, but the Spirit of God dealt with me. He says,
Yes.
he says, why don't you want him to mess up?
Mm.
I said,
Mm.
He said, right, because he's associated to you and that's your name, and you don't want to be
Mm.
looking ashamed like Jonathan out there, and he didn't do this, or he just did score 2 points, and he didn't. So now he said, relax,
Yeah.
Yeah.
be at peace, because people here's the growth set mentality. The growth set mentality is failure is not an option; it's necessary.
Yes.
Mm.
See, we
But
don't want
most
our kids
people
to
learn
fail.
through that, though.
Yeah,
Most
you're gonna
people
learn through
learn
that.
through failure
You're
because
gonna
Yeah.
learn
with
through
that
failure.
comes experience. You wouldn't
Exactly.
know.
Right. So the growth set mindset is okay. I went out and I scored. I didn't score. I was 0 for 7. So the growth mindset, I was 0 for 7 in the first half. All
Mm.
right, first half ended. Second half is a new. Now it's a new half. Let's see
Yeah.
what you can do. It's the growth set mindset. Is we trying to eliminate fear because
Mhm.
fear is a spirit,
And it caused torment.
and it causes torment. And so
Ooh.
and so
Wow.
a lot of coaches coach, they use a fear tactic,
Yeah,
Hmm.
right? And there's a healthy fear, and there's a healthy fear and an unhealthy fear. Like,
that's right.
right, you know, you're not rebounding. Why do you
Mhm.
take me out? Because you're not rebounding. All right, but I'm
Right.
gonna put you back in the game and prove me wrong. So he goes back in the game, he rebounds. Great job, you rebounded. So a lot of times coaches don't. You tell the kid what they didn't do, what they did wrong, but you don't celebrate them. You got to celebrate them when they
Yeah,
successful. So
That's
anyway, so going back to Jill's question as far as the boys in the household, I got over tangent over there, but
that
so
was good though, Coach. I
that
like
was
that.
very good.
Robert is so Robert, listen, Robert, this is really going to be a faith journey for with Robert and that family, because Robert's been hurt every summer of his high school year. He's been hurt except for last year.
Wow.
He tweaked his leg last weekend. He broke
Hmm.
his foot going into his sophomore year. He tweaked his other leg. They had to clean his knee out going into his freshman year.
Wow.
Now he just had an MRI on his leg last. So
Right.
this is going to be a faith journey.
Yeah.
So to answer that question, as far as how we dealing with these boys, um, it's just really by faith. It really
Mhm.
is by
Mm.
faith. I try to give them a message, and by all means, I'm not perfect, and I try to let them know that I'm not perfect, that I
Yeah.
have
I
faults.
can I can tell them that.
She
Yeah,
like, I know you, baby daddy.
Mm.
but I don't know if I
But
answered the question.
but you're close to it,
No,
baby.
you did phenomenal, Coach, because what you did was in the huddle, you brought the rawness within your family, the rawness and who
Yeah.
you are, and to say everything's not perfect because people in this world want to create this false narrative that Michael Jordan never had a bad game. Michael Jordan, everything is so awesome, right? But you're
Yeah.
going to have ebbs and flows in your coaching career, in your career with interacting with people, and in your career in playing sports, because eventually it does stop. And the beautiful thing is about that is having confidence in the that God gave you the ability more so than just only having confidence in yourself to perform for the people, you know?
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. It's
yeah.
yeah, no, it's a journey. I have to try to convince maybe 1,600 coaches that I'm going to be
Mm.
speaking to in the next month. Sound
Wow.
mind, sound body.
Woo woo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
SMSD.
yeah. We have the 3D Institute, that we partner with, and we're going to like just talk to them about their platform, and just really, um, it's awesome. They you know they don't realize, coaches don't realize that platform that they have.
Yeah.
It's just, so let's not use it in the wrong way. Let's not use it as a use it as a tool to be a blessing and not a curse to the kids.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Coach, I want to shift a little bit. We've talked about raising kids, coaching coaches, your journey as an athlete. You played basketball for University of Illinois, played in high school, and we know that the sports landscape, sports world has shifted, especially with
Mhm.
NIL, transfer portal. What should parents and athletes be aware of in this new era?
Um, so many different. Let's use transfer first.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes we are impatient with
Mhm.
development and growth.
Yeah.
We want to see growth right away. And a
Yeah.
great coach told me this. He said, "Put your son in a slow cooker versus a microwave.
Mm.
Allow your son to develop." And so I took that advice and I put it. Jonathan's career is going to be in a slow cooker because think about it, when you cook food in a slow cooker, it's tender, it's tasty,
Yes.
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Where a microwave, it loses the taste sometimes, doesn't it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you overcook it,
Rubbery.
it's rubbery, all of
Mhm.
that. So as far as a transfer portal, there are some now. There are teams that are saying we no longer need your services, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's where we are right now. And so, but if you played a little and they want you back, and just work at it because it's going to teach you, it's going to teach you some life lessons, some life skills, as learning when you get in the workforce. You know what I'm saying? When you're waiting for that promotion, you work hard for it. So that's one
Mhm.
angle for it. But as far as the NIL, um, the NIL, I mean, the kids are getting paid, and um, so, but again, you have to be very careful with it. There were other schools that were looking at Jonathan. They were offering him probably more money than Wisconsin, and I told him, I said, all things, Jonathan, like one coach said, well, let me finish that statement. All things, they don't look good. They may, what's the word? Oh, this is what I told him. I said, Jonathan, the grass is greener where you water it. It's
Mm.
the
I like.
grass. People say the grass is greener on the other side. No, the grass is greener where you water it. So
Mhm.
water the grass in Wisconsin. And so that's that. There was a coach, uh, famous coach, in a powerful, another powerful conference, told Jonathan they was mad at him that
Mm.
he didn't put his name in the portal. And I told Jonathan, tell that coach, I'm mad at you that you didn't recruit me out of high school.
Mm.
So, so these tactics,
Like
these
back in your face, coach. Like I'm about to throw it right back at you. You didn't recruit me.
Right.
you didn't recruit them. So don't, and let's let's let Wisconsin be a testimony.
Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
let this be a journey. Because see, this journey was a faith journey in terms of how they recruited Jonathan. I think Jill shared that, but
Mhm.
it's a faith journey. So let's let this be a testimony. So NIL is good. Don't go for the money. I mean,
Mhm.
get what's due to you. Don't get me wrong. Get what's due to you.
Right.
You go. Don't because what happens is like there's one of Jonathan's teammates, former teammate, AJ Store. Great guy. Great guy. I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard not to go for the money. I think they offered him 1.4 million or something like that
Mm.
um, to go to. He ended up going to Kansas, and it didn't work out for him. I mean, he averaged like 15, 16 points a game at Wisconsin, and then when he went down to Kansas, he averaged 6 points a game in only 12 minutes. He barely got 10 minutes a game. So,
Wow.
so these coaches, they give you, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, you're gonna be that, and you all that. And then when you get there, the environment is different,
Mhm.
teammates are different.
Yeah.
Um, the leash is different in terms of if you could like Wisconsin, he could have shot 5 times and missed five, and shot 5 times, missed all 5 of them, and shot three
Mm,
air balls. Coach probably wouldn't have took you out. But as soon as you
right,
get down to Kansas, you do that. Then now you got the next man waiting up. They put him in, and then
right.
it discombobulates you. It's just, and it's
So
like,
it's just good to stay where you're at, get developed, do
yeah,
what you do,
yeah,
because you don't want the money to chase. You don't want to chase the money. You let the money chase you because the money will come, and then it comes in time.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Timing too, all of that. So
Yeah.
hopefully I answered that question.
you
No,
did.
you did, and unfortunately, that happens with some kids. It just doesn't take away that they're great players. It's just the circumstances might might be again the timing is wrong, the school is wrong, and so we see that a lot. Um, and we just need to be prayerful when stuff like that happens.
Coach, can you give us some information about FCA? Where can anyone that's listening to this find FCA, find you, or if they would like more information for their programs?
Um, I could just Jill, you could put it in the chat, put my email in the chat. Can you do that or no?
I sure can, Miss. I can be your secretary right now.
Yeah, he can post a comment on here too for us to be able to share that. And we're able to
Oh,
get
I can do
people
that too, can
connected.
I?
Yeah, you can. I got it for you though.
Okay. Yeah. So
That's what wives do, don't they?
you can email me. And typically, if you're interested in um, us coming and doing a huddle, starting a huddle at your child's school, we can engage with the coach, um, and go that route. We can work with coaches. Um, we we have some camps coming up, but they're all signed up. But let's start with connecting with a coach that
Having
you think
conversation.
connecting with a coach and some athletes that would benefit from
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. I see it's in the chat. It's G Blackwell, G as in God,
Yeah,
Blackwell at fca.org.
Yep,
awesome.
that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great, Coach. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us, moms
Right.
in the huddle. You brought some wisdom to this call. We were enlightened by your journey and your story, and the way that God has used you and will continue to use you, not only with our three sons, but also in the lives of other young men. What you're doing, men and women, what you're doing at Southfield Public Schools as the assistant athletic director, and also through the work that you're doing with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. And I'll see you probably in about 30 minutes, maybe. Maybe not.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one, Coach. Thank you. It was amazing having you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
inviting.
Coach. Bye
All
bye.
right. Thank you. Wow, Jillian. You talking about some good we ate spiritually too. Did you eat
Yes,
too?
we did. Yes, we did. That was really
Man.
good. That was really good. It's
That
good to hear. Sometimes it's good to hear those stories as a reminder of how the faithfulness of God.
he's so faithful to us, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And so I just want to tell people, when we were designing this logo you see at the top of this picture,
Yeah.
Erica said, we need to have something shiny. And so it's not some people may think that it's a era, like
Or
it's like a
glare.
smudge or glare. But when you see moms in the huddle, that bright light is the light of the Holy Spirit. And we
Yes.
want to make sure that we invite him in into
Oh
everything that
yes.
we're doing. So I thank you, Erica, for I just love hanging out with you and being on this
I
call. So you're
do.
such a
Me too,
blessing.
Jillian. We have the best times in the huddle when
Mhm.
we bring people on to talk. We started off saying what our huddle was going to be. Oh, 30 minutes, maybe 45. And
Right.
we find that when you let the huddle flow, right?
Yes.
And bring people in and they're talking and they're giving their testimony or their experiences, you just get genuine, raw, uncut
Yes.
information,
Yes. That
you
part.
know.
Wonderful.
But I will
Well, you
say,
got go
hi,
ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I was gonna say we've come to some great moments to give our tips. I know marketing moment is coming and legal tip is coming up.
I was
But
going to ask you. You want to give the legal tip first? And Tasha said we got a word while being in her. Yes, we did,
we
Tasha.
sure did, Tasha. She was
The
joint. She listened to the whole
whole
thing.
thing. Thank you for
She
hanging
was
out.
showing up and said, "Y'all, that is some good information." We sure did. We got a
I
good word.
love that.
And for those that don't know, that's my bestest friend in the whole wide world. Okay.
That's a good bestest friend. I text my bestest friend. I'm gonna tell her you need to show up.
Yes. I know. Let me tell you, my bestest. We've been best friends, bestest
Oh,
for since 2000. No, sorry, 1998,
wow.
97, 98.
Oh
He said,
yeah.
"Yes, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here." Yeah, we've
Yeah,
been best friends since 1998, and
that's
she's my
good.
children's godmom, and she supports everything I do. It doesn't matter if I
Oh,
say we about to go and sit on the corner and just eat ice cream and just be the ice cream girl. She's like, "Okay, I'm with you. Where we going?"
oh,
Let me tell you,
that's
the
a
Bible
girlfriend
talks
right
about
there.
having a friend that'll be closer to you than any brother or
Yeah.
sister. She's really one of the four sisters. She really
Oh,
is. It's
well,
three girls.
Tasha,
She's
we
one of the
love
four
you,
sisters.
girl. Thank
Yeah,
you
that's my
for that.
bestest, y'all.
That's awesome.
But yes, we ready for the legal moment, the legal tip.
Yes,
Y'all,
ma'am.
listen. Jillian is one of the most amazing marketing people ever. You see what she created for me, the legal tip with Erica. I love it because you know what we're going to do is we're going to give you knowledge. We're going to give you understanding from our areas. Okay. I am a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan. I've been practicing law since, let's see, since 2018. Oh, Besta said, no, ma'am, 1996. I'm sorry, I take that back.
Okay.
We have been best
All
friends since
right.
1996. I take it back.
Good.
See,
Awesome.
that's how you know your best friend can correct you, okay?
Yes.
She like 1996, get it right. So, but I will say, in practice in law, I've come across contracts, I come across so many things, but I've always want to be able to give a legal tip as it relates to it from a perspective. So, a couple things I want to talk about um, as it relates to just something legal that people should consider, right? People should consider a couple things. When you are recruiting an agent,
Mm,
agents and recruiters must be vetted. In some states, you can use an unlicensed agent is illegal. Meaning, if you have an agent that doesn't have a license, they cannot represent you in some states. In
wow.
Michigan, they can. So then
Mm,
you can have a maybe a sports agent representing your kid or a non-sports agent. But I want to make sure that you are vetting them. You
mm,
make sure that your advisors are legitimate and not promising things that they cannot guarantee. What can
mm.
happen is you can have lawsuits when people are over promising and under delivering, right? You may sign a contract. Watch out for exclusive contracts. What's the
Yeah.
difference with exclusive? Many people may say exclusive versus non exclusive. If you are a college athlete, in no way should you get involved in any, in my opinion, and what my legal tip, an exclusive contract. That means that they can keep you exclusively and you can't sign with other people, and that
Mm,
you only work with them for the duration of the contract or beyond the contract.
mm.
Non-exclusive contracts will have you open up the horizon. So that
Yeah.
means if you got 5, 10 companies that want to work with you, you are not going to just be stuck with one company. But I will say this is a caveat to an exclusive contract. If you got an exclusive contract that is paying you big money
Mm,
to where it will supplement the 5 and 10 that you have over here, then you may want to make sure that you have a good support system around you to see if it
yes.
is something you should get into an exclusive. But I'm going to say steer away from exclusive. Non-exclusive is better than exclusive.
Yeah.
Non-exclusive give you the thing to where I'm going to work with you on here, you line a deal up for me here. And if Comcast or if Nike or if Adidas or other people come, you may say, I can work with you because I'm in a non exclusive contract. So know those differences. Make sure you're vetting whoever it is that's representing you, and understand in some states, if a person is not a licensed agent, then it may be illegal for them
Yeah.
to work for you
Yeah.
because people are in many different states. Make sure that you vetted the process and vetted the people. That's
Mm.
Erica's legal tip moment. And I hope you take that knowledge with you from Moms in a Huddle.
I love that. I love that. We're dating. We're not married, so we're
Right.
not gonna enter to exclusive. I
Exactly.
love that.
Yes.
So right now it's moms in the huddle marketing moment, because talent open doors, but the proper
Mm.
marketing keeps them open. So the marketing moment is keep a content kit ready. Keep a
Ooh.
content kit ready. So again, in a world of recruiting, in a world of NIL, you don't have time to get ready. You need to stay ready. So what do I
Mhm.
mean by that? That means having a digital content kit. You got to have a digital content kit on hand to send to a coach, post in social media, or attach to an NIL opportunity at a moment's notice. So
Mhm.
here's how you do it. You need to have a student athlete content kit. You can host it in a Google Drive, Google Docs, so you can even keep it on your phone. And so some things that you want to include in this digital content kit: game highlights, a
Mm.
1 to 3 minute reel with your athletes. And I'm talking to parents, but the student athlete can do this as well. So a 1 minute, 1 to 3 minute reel with your athletes, your child, your player, whatever, whoever's doing it for you, with his or her best plays. Think of it as their sports resume. And
Mhm.
then you clearly want to label it that person's name, 2025 highlight. If it's a
Mhm.
video, MP4, whatever. So you want to make sure. And the reason why I'm saying it's important that you label it, because you don't want to pull a reel that's 2021 or 1996 when Erica and her best friend met. You want to make sure it's in 2025.
Right.
You want to
Yeah.
also update it regularly. So coaches love seeing growth over time. So you may want to
Yes.
include maybe 1 or 2. This is what I did in January 2024. This is what I did in January 2025. And here I am in January 2026. You also want to have some headshots and action shots.
Mhm.
So you want to include one professional style headshot. Yes, I said professional. Now there's all types of apps that you can use now. I'm not trying to put photographers out of business, but there are apps on your phone that
That's
you can
true.
use and get a professional headshot. Have a clean background, not none of this busyness that I got back here. Have a clean back shot with your jersey on. Add a high quality action shot from your game. So if you are dunking, or if you are catching a ball, or
Mhm.
you are hitting a soccer ball, whatever that is, have a high quality action shot as well. And then you want to have, there's a couple more things, but you want to make sure you have your bio in PDF or Google Docs. Your full name, your high school, your graduating class, what your height and weight is, what your position is, your stats, like if you have season averages, your accomplishments or awards if you got. Sometimes people forget to do this. Put your contact information in there.
Yes, they do.
Your
I've seen that.
contact as well as your parents. Because what if somebody calls you, you're in school, and the teacher done took your phone and you can't get the phone call, but your kid
True.
has your mama or your daddy
That's
information on. So you
right.
need to do that. And if you're a part of a club or AAU, make sure you include that in it. If you are if you have academic honors like Mr. Shamaj Morgan, you want to
Mhm.
include that in there because you want
That's
them to
right.
know I know how to balance school and being an athlete. So you want to make sure include that. Unofficial transcript, coaches' recommendations, social media links. You got to
Mhm.
have all that in your digital kit. So
That's
organize each section and folder. Stay organized. You don't want to be fumbling. You have to what? Stay ready. Keep everything labeled and keep it clean. So bottom line, coaches talk to hundreds and hundreds of families. Being organized sets you apart from anybody and keeps you ready. So when you hand them your content kit, you say,
Mhm.
we're serious, prepared, and we're professional. And then
Wow.
that's all that matters. So until next time, this has been your mom's in the huddle marketing moment. Hopefully you're working on your kit. You listen, you should be doing this, working on your stuff right now.
Right.
All right.
Started, right?
That's it.
I like that, Jillian.
Yeah,
That's really good because you know what? With athletes, they have to be able to keep themselves relevant, right?
you got it. You
Relevant
got
in
it.
so many things, the ebbs and the flows of different things. And you're
Yeah.
right. Don't
And
stop. Make that kit. Make that kit to where and put it out there.
yeah, but it carries over into your professional life. I met with
Yes.
a young lady that I'm one of my mentors, and I do something called a walking deck. And the
Mhm.
walking deck is like a 4-pager, talks about who you are, tells a
Yes.
little bit about your story, your family, your journey, the companies you work with. It has
Mhm.
quotes about what people have said about you, your boss or past bosses, and your coworkers. And so what that does, instead of you sending just a generic resume, you send them this walking deck, and you're like, well, who is Jillian Blackwell?
Right.
because I came prepared and I always have it ready. I'm always refreshing it. So you learn now at 16, 17, 18, 19, and it carries over to your professional life. So you're always ready.
Wow. I love that. You got to
Awesome.
market yourself, you know?
Gotta market yourself. Gotta market yourself. I
Yeah.
remember who was that? There was a minister who said, uh, uh even a dog know how to wag his own tail. So if you can't
Right.
wag your tail, something
That's
ain't right.
right. Even a dog know how, and he marketed himself to
He's
say, "Look at
marketing
me
himself.
and don't even talk."
Absolutely, absolutely. But this has been great.
Right.
What we got coming up next, Erica?
Oh man, Jillian, next week, which would be what, the 23rd? Is that the week that we may have track star Kayla and her family coming in?
I think
If
so.
not, y'all, we got such a good lineup. A
Line.
lot of our shows are almost
Yes.
planned already to August. We're gonna have the
Yeah.
young lady Kayla Jackson and her family, her mom Kimberly Jackson and Mr. AJ Jackson. They're gonna come in and talk about the Kayla um, Jackson. I think it's the track team. She has her own track club. She goes to University of
Oh,
Georgia, so she's one of the fastest young ladies. We're also going to bring in Major League Baseball players. Frederick
yeah.
Sharp, Sterling Sharp, and Frederick Sharp Sr., and they're going to talk about their journey in Major League Baseball. We want to keep reminding our audience that Moms in a Huddle is just not about football. It's just not about
All that.
basketball. Of course, we love
Yeah.
it, but it's about all sports, and we're all in the
Yeah.
huddle together. So when I say we got good shows, we're also next week going to do a double header show next Monday and Wednesday. We're going to have Doug Cohen and his wife, Allie Cohen, that comes in. They're going to talk about what they're doing as relates to branding,
Right.
and photography and how to get yourself out there just beyond the normal branding of yourself. We have some interesting concepts. So I'm excited about our show. And if you have any ideas, always go to our website, go to our Facebook, go to our Instagram and say, hey, can we talk about this? We want to
Yeah.
hear from you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, and
Mhm.
share. And
Yes, please.
go to our website and even tell us what if there's a particular person you want us to interview or you want
Yes.
interested in coming in the show. And I just pulled it up. I'm super excited. We have Dr. Sabrina Jackson who's coming
Yes.
next week. She's going to
Okay.
be talking about mental health matters,
Mhm.
anxiety, burnout, performance pressure, and
Yes.
identity. And again, believe it or not, kids as young as middle school are going through issues with their mental health. And we want to make sure we're prepared
Yes.
moms to be able to identify it and talk through it. So excited about Dr. Sabrina Jackson coming on
Yes.
with us next
Me
Monday.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to keep Moms in a Huddle going. When I say we're going to go to the next level, we love everyone that has given us great feedback. And we're going to continue to go higher and higher. And we thank you for always joining in, the faithfuls
Yeah.
that join in each week, the faithfuls that watch after the program. Because always remember, every episode we have is uploaded on YouTube and you go
Yeah.
watch at your free time. Share it
Yeah.
also, like Jillian said, with your friends and family that you think may need to hear what was in the huddle today. Because remember, in the huddle, no parent or coach or anybody in the huddle stands alone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Well, I guess that's it.
Jillian, wait a
Moms in a
minute.
huddle. Where they
Where
at?
they at? I
In
know
a
you
huddle.
did. Dun, 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 dun. Where they at, Jillian? In the huddle.
Moms in a
Hey,
huddle.
in the huddle.
In a huddle. That's
Yeah.
the what?
Say it again.
You said what? That's the what?
That's the
Anthem.
anthem. Get them hands up.
Hey.
Hey.
I
We in the
love
huddle,
that.
y'all. Have a great week. Jillian, I
All
love you
right.
as
Good night.
always.
Bye, Tasha. Bye, everyone. Have a good
Bye,
night.
everybody.